Welcome back to another review by Mega Train Lover. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but we're back, and back with a new locomotive which I actually acquired last month, but I've only just come round to doing a review of it. And as you can see, it is a Bachmann model, and you can tell it's a Robinson 04, and you can also tell the locomotive is not in the box. This locomotive I got off eBay second hand for a really good price. Initially there were some problems with it. I did have to send it to Bachmann for repair, but they fixed it at a very reasonable price, and they fixed it quite quickly as well, so it is back and it's running brilliantly. And you will see I've done a couple of modifications to it, but nothing major. Anyway, before we get on to the actual review of the locomotive, we're going to be talking about the history of the Robinson 04. Firstly, let's turn the box to the side. You can see the product code is 31-001. It's a Robinson 04, number 63601, in British Rail black with the late crest. And it says 21-pin DCC ready, but I've already fitted a decoder to it. And if we turn to the back, you can see there is tons of information about this particular type, as you can see. And I'm just going to read some of the information. So the Robinson 04, originally these were built by the Great Central Railway to the design of John Robinson, and they were originally known as the Great Central Railway 8K class. They were built between 1911 and 1918. Originally they were built simply as goods engines for the Great Central Railway, but as soon as the First World War came out, the Ministry of Supply, I think that's what it was at that time, or the Railway Operating Division, basically came out and said, right, this will be the standard goods engine for the war effort. So they massively upped production, and in the end over 500 of these engines were built. Many of them were sent abroad during the war. Some of them remained abroad to work permanently. Some of them were sent to Australia. Some of them even stayed in Australia to work right up until the end of their lives. But many of them came back to Britain, and several of the then pre-grouping companies purchased some of these when the First World War ended. Most famously, the Great Western Railway had an entire fleet of these, but even more famously, the LNER purchased 421 of these, and they classified them as 04s. Now, of course, pre-grouping, obviously the LNER didn't exist, but once all of the pre-grouping companies that amalgamated into the LNER basically came about, so once the LNER came about, they had 421 04s on their books, the LNER classifying them as 04s. Majority of them remained in service until the 1960s, when all of them were scrapped except one, which is actually, rather coincidentally, my particular model, number 63601. That one's preserved at the Great Central Railway in Loughborough, which is also very appropriate because of course these engines were built by the Great Central Railway. Now, this is the only one that's preserved in Britain. There are a few examples preserved elsewhere. Those are mostly the ones that were eventually built by the ROD, so not necessarily the ones that started out in life as Great Central Railway 8Ks. They were, during the First World War, these were known as the Railway Operating Division 280s. Very simple, and immediately gives away the wheel configuration of this engine. Anyway, let's put the box to one side and let's have a look at the engine itself. Now, it does have the standard formation which we've come to expect nowadays, whereby it's got a wire connecting the engine and the engine and the tender, but nonetheless it's not a huge engine, so I can hold it quite easily. Wow. Wow. What can I say? I mean, first off, we'll start with the modifications. As you can see, I've fitted these two lights, and another thing I've done is I've taken out the original coal load and put in my own one. As you can see here, just makes it a bit more realistic. That's the only thing I did, and also DCC it. Wow. Honestly, I mean I did get this for a bargain price. The RRP for this has increased quite dramatically, but we're just going to be talking about this based on the price that I got it for, and I think it looks absolutely stunning. So, yep, it's got sprung buffers on both the engine and the tender as well, and quite interesting how the engine has got oval buffers at the front, as you can see here, if it focuses. But then on the rear, on the tender, it's got the standard round buffers. So obviously the livery is very basic because it's just British Rail black with no lining at all. But that's the way it was. That's the way these engines were. They're very plain. They were very simple to operate, but they were very powerful. It's a 280 wheel arrangement. Very powerful engines they were for their time. This detail, buffer beam detail on the front, I fitted that myself. If it focuses, yep, there we go. The camera's finding it hard to bit. Yep, there we go. So as you can see, there's its number 63601, which is the one that's preserved on the Great Central Railway. There's no kind of internal valve gear detail there. It's just a blank plate, which is a bit of a shame. But these were this was designed in the days before Bachmann, or any other manufacturer for that matter, started putting in the extra detail there. But never mind, it still looks really nice from the outside. It's got separately fitted handrails running along both sides of the boiler, and also I love the way it curves round the top of the smoke box door. As you can see, the wheels look really nice. There's the reversing rod, the safety valves, and the whistle. Return to the other side, just carefully, not making sure that we don't accident. Yep, there we go. See, really nice. It's got the builder's plate there, which obviously is part of the printing, and some lubricator points. Yeah, all in all, really nice looking engine. Now let's have a look at the cab. The cab is very nice. You can see you can see the regulator, you can see some of the gauges and the dials, and you can even see the reverser just to the right, because I think it's to the right. Yeah, it's a right-hand drive engine. And you can see the firebox as well. Obviously, it doesn't flicker because again, it's quite an old tooling. It's about 10-15 years old. This tooling. One thing I will point out, which is a bit of a criticism, is considering the fact that this is a heavy freight engine, it's pretty light. I've held engines smaller than this, which are heavier, but that's just a bit of a criticism. But that's all right. I have tested it with the load, and it can haul a fair amount. So yeah, and here's the tender, which is a typical Great Central Railway style Great Central tender. It's got the British Rail laid crest there. See on the back you got the brake pipe, you got the lamp irons, handrails, and there's the coal load, which I've as mentioned before, I've fitted myself. The tender's very light as well, but that's all right. I mean, it can haul quite a large amount because I have tested it. But yeah, so yeah, all in all, a very nice model. But let's see what the performance is like. So here we have the Bachmann Robinson 04 on the track. What we're going to do now is we're going to select a number, which I've given it, and off she goes. Away she goes. Now this is halfway speed, as you can see on the controller. It's number 14, and the speed is maximum speed is 28. You know, it's a bit slow, but maybe with a bit more running in it might speed up. Although to be fair, this is quite appropriate speed for a goods engine. But I will, for the purposes of this review, I will speed it up slightly to about 20. Yeah, 20 is fine. There we go. Really, really nice. Wow, very smooth. I can't really hit motor actually. Really nice. Let's get a few shots of her passing. Yeah, she's running really well. Very, very nice and smooth. And I have actually tested this engine with a load. I've given it a run-in, full run-in, and she can haul quite a lot, despite the fact that she's not very heavy, but yeah, not bad. So just to conclude this video, I would definitely recommend her. If you can get it at a good price, like I did, I'd definitely recommend her, because it's a really, really nice model. Maybe not at the recommended retail price, the current one, but at, you know, if you get a second-hand model which is in very good condition and, you know, at a good price, I definitely recommend it. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next review. Goodbye.